win this match. The other thing to say, of course, is that one of the wickets that went down was the night watchman, Matt Parkinson. And the second night watchman, Will Williams, who went in, played pretty solidly last night. He's on 2, Bohannon is 92. We're about to get underway. It's an overcast morning, but it's a bit brighter than it was this time yesterday. The clouds pretty high. We've seen the odd glimpse of sunshine. And it's going to be Ben Sanderson to begin proceedings from the far end. David Capel-End, and he's coming into bowl to Bohannon. Keeper standing up, first ball of the day. And Bohannon is in behind it, playing it out into the covers where it's fielded by Rob Keogh. And there's no one. Ricardo Vasconcelos is at first slip. Will Young at second. They've got a man out there sweeping on the backward point boundary. Ryan Rickleton, then Keogh in there at extra cover. Mid-on, mid-off, forward short leg. A deep square just in front of square. And a long leg. Lewis McManus standing up to Sanderson as he did for a good part of the play last night. Here's Sanderson in again. Bowls to Bohannon, pushes down, and it's steered it away wide of second slip. There's no third man, and Bohannon and Lancashire are away for this morning with a boundary. Races all the way down to the fence. And Lancashire making just the sort of start that they wanted. Total goes up to 198 for 5. Bohannon to 96. So no ball called as well. So 6 added on to the total. 198 for 5. Bohannon 96, fall short of a century. What would be his second 3-figure score in the championship this year. Sanderson comes in, bowls to him, hits him on the pad. Big appeal for LBW. Not out, says the umpire. First thought, maybe a little bit high, possibly inclining down the leg side. Anyway, given not out. A couple of LBWs given last night. In fact, both the Lancashire openers were dismissed. LBW, Keaton Jennings for 1, Luke Wells for 26. Sanderson turning at the end of his mark. He's already picked up 3 wickets in the innings. He's into his 16th over. 198 for 5, 80 to win. Sanderson in, bowls to Bohannon, who's in behind that, playing it up to mid-on. Fielded by Luke Proctor, and there's no run. One thing is for sure, and there's not a great deal that's ever been certain in this particular match, but one thing is for sure is that we won't be here quite as late as we were last night, when play finished at 6 minutes to 8, which I think is the latest I've ever been reporting and commentating on county championship cricket that started at 11 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, we've had later finishes when they've started later as well. Here's Sanderson in, bowls to Bohannon, again in behind it, playing it up to Proctor at mid-on, and there's no run, but we had 112 overs to get in yesterday because of the hangover from both Tuesday when it was too hot and Wednesday when it was too wet, so, and indeed too dark. So one way or another, we've gone through just about every meteorological eventuality in this match. And here's Sanderson running in again to bowl to Bohannon, who's looking to try and give himself a little bit of room, play it down through backward point. In the end, just runs out into the offside. Keogh fields. And there's no run. Have you had a later one than 6 minutes to 8, Frank? I think.
No, I don't think I have, actually. I was following the game, as I said, and I was at a function last night in Worcester, a cricket function, and just about to listen to Jonathan Agnew. In fact, I think he might have started speaking by that time, and I looked at my phone to see what the score was, and I just couldn't believe he was still playing.
Yeah, it was a late one. The sun trying to come through here. As Sanderson to finish the over, comes in and bowls to Bohannon, forces that nicely off the back foot. The single he was looking for. There is protection out there at deep point. Ryan Rickleton out there on the boundary in front of the west stand. But they're through for a single, so a productive first over for Lancashire. 7 runs added, 199 for 5. They need 79 more runs to win. Bohannon is on 97, and he's got the strike, and it's going to be Northamptonshire's first innings bowling hero Jack White, who's going to begin proceedings from this end, the Lynn Wilson Indoor Centre end. You're talking to one or two Northamptonshire officials before the start, Frank, they were hoping that it was going to stay overcast, obviously, and just help it to be a little bit more of a bowling day. It certainly was this time yesterday when it was overcast and a bit of damp in the air as well. But although we had some rain early this morning in Northampton, in fact, across the whole of the county, my part of the county, about 15 miles away, we had some rain very early, but it's fine now in the forecast. I don't think we're going to have any problems with seeing this through. I think if there's any rain coming in, it's going to be much later this afternoon, so no problem getting finished.
Jack White to start then this morning, the second over of the day from our commentary end, the Lynn Wilson Indoor Cricket Centre end. Hero of the first innings, as Andrew was saying, when he bowled beautifully. Bowled really straight, didn't he? That was what picked him up his wickets. And coming in now to bowl to Bohannon, poised on 97. White's in, down the leg side, taken by the keeper, no run. Just looking at that first over from Ben Sanderson, they had a little huddle, didn't they, before the start, and Northampton players, and I've got no doubt that the message was, you know, let's make them work for every run. And then you begin with a no ball, yes, and then an edge down to the vacant third man, which goes one on edge, a steer, but it could have been a single. It's so difficult. Third man vacant again now. I'd be tempted to have one in there, I think. Here he comes again, and White bowls, and that's pushed up to mid-on by Josh Bohannon, 97. I didn't see all of his innings yesterday, but I've long considered Josh Bohannon to be an underrated cricketer, Andrew. I don't know what you think.
Yeah,
but
no, he played extremely
vital innings,
well.
this, isn't it?
He played extremely well yesterday. The partnership with Stephen Croft put on 117 in 31 overs after they'd lost a couple of early wickets, and Northamptonshire would have been feeling they were really on top at that point, and it really rested the initiative.
Here's White again in bowls. Bohannon is forward, plays back to the bowler. Just going back to White's first innings figures, I mean, I watched quite closely. I mean, 3 LBWs, 1 bowled. Was it 4? Oh, 4 LBWs. Yeah. He did bowl very straight. 5 for 14 in 13 overs. I mean, it's up there with the most economical figures I've ever seen in a championship.
The burst, I mean, the spell was 4 for 10 in 7 overs, which was what sort of really broke the back of the innings.
Not many bad balls in that. He comes in now, and bowls, and Bohannon is forward, and again plays back to the bowler. White does his own fielding.
Well, he's been excellent this year, but when he had the chance, we were saying, I was talking to him after the Warwickshire match here, and he's tended to be, having made a belated start in county cricket, didn't make his debut until he was 28 a couple of years ago, and he's tended to be the one that's come in when either Berg or Sanderson isn't available. But he's certainly made a place his own now, and he's going to be very hard to dislodge.
Comes in now, wearing 9, moves away from us and bowls, and Bohannon clipping this one down to long leg. He'll get 1, he'll come back for 2, good running. As a fielder down there has to come around quite a long way, pick it up. Is that Sanderson down?
It is,
yeah.
Yes.
Good pick up, got the throw away quickly, but Bohannon, with the energy of a man who knows he's on the brink of 100, turned and scampered back for that second. 99 now to him. Brilliant innings. In the context of this game, when you look at the highest score by anybody else, 61, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
in the first innings by McManus.
Yeah.
To get to 100 is pretty special. The field closes in, not surprisingly now, as in comes White, and Bohannon pushes that out on the offside, and he won't keep the strike this time because there's no runs. The end of a good tidy over from Jack White. The 200 is up, 201 for 5. 77 more runs needed for victory by the visitors. Josh Bohannon on 99, and Williams, who's yet to receive a delivery today, I think,
that's right,
is on 2.
I can tell you, Frank, you're saying about comments about the third man, and one of our regular correspondents, George Woods, morning George, has been on Twitter and saying that many things in my life will change, but I will remain an avid advocate for a third man. Well, there's a few that would agree with you about that, but as Frank was saying, it's a very, very difficult balancing act here for Northamptonshire. They don't want to over-attack and give Lancashire easy runs. On the other hand, they've got to take 5 wickets to win the match. And both sides, with quite a lot riding on this. Lancashire, as we were saying for a good part of yesterday, and Scott Reed was making the point that Lancashire need a win to keep themselves in contention. It looks very much as though Hampshire may well beat Gloucestershire at Cheltenham today. Surrey, strong favourites to beat Essex at the Oval. We're currently first and second in the table. So Lancashire in third need a win to keep themselves in contention. 2 slips, keeper standing back. Sanderson comes in, bowls to Will Williams, who plays that up to mid-wicket, fielded there by Kerrigan, and there's no run. Williams, I have to say, came in a second night watchman last night after the demise of Matt Parkinson and looked very, very solid. Got behind everything. Obviously, plenty of experience in first-class cricket in New Zealand with Canterbury. Bowled beautifully in this match as well.
They bowled really well, yeah.
So I hadn't seen a lot of him before, but in fact, all 3 of the frontline Lancashire seamers have been outstanding in this match. Tom Bailey, Will Williams, and Luke Wood as well, in their contrasting styles. Here's Sanderson running in towards us, bowls to Williams outside the off stump. Williams on the back foot, plays it back down the pitch. Sanderson tries to do a bit of fancy footwork. Won't get his trial with Rotherham United on the basis of that. He didn't manage to control it. And in fact, Josh Bohannon helpfully knocked it up to Luke Proctor at mid-on. 201 for 5, 77 more runs to win. 1 or 2 of the Lancashire players have been having an outdoor net in the old bowling green, which is now the outdoor net area, down to our left, now walking back round the ground. Sanderson in, bowls short of a length, and Williams trying to help it round the corner. It's come off something. I think it's just come off his thigh pad. It's a long chase down there for Lewis McManus from behind the stumps. They come through for 2 leg buys, signalled by the umpire. So 2 more onto the total. 203 for 5, 75 to win.
2 more annoying runs from a Northamptonshire point of view. I watched a similar scenario to this at New Road a couple of weeks ago when Glamorgan chased the biggest score of the game to win against Worcestershire, and on that last morning it was a very similar situation. Billy Root played really well, finished on 99 not out, interesting.
Yes, I saw that, yes.
But it's interesting to watch the body language of the fielding side as the target lessens, I think.
Sanderson in, bowls to Williams, plays forward very solidly again, runs up to mid-on where Luke Proctor fields.
You know, they begin with a lot of spring and enthusiasm and quite a bit of noise out there, and then as the batting side inches towards the target, you can almost see the shoulders dropping and the heads going down. Perfectly understandable.
He got a little bit flat out in the field last night during that partnership which we were talking about between Bohannon and Croft. Then Northampton just managing to break through again towards the close. Sanderson in again, bowls to Williams, plays it up to mid-wicket. Kerrigan fields. And there's no run. Not a huge crowd in this morning, as you might imagine, but there's a smattering. A few on the top tier of the Spencer Pavilion, which is always a very nice place to watch the game from. A few as well at the top of the Ken Turner stand at the front of the old press box. 1 or 2 in the mound stand, the white seats down by the signal box, and a few hardy souls in the west stand. Sanderson in again, bowls to Williams, plays it up again very calmly up to mid-wicket. Kerrigan fields, end of the over. It's not, rather, there's 1 ball to go.
It's the other thing that I suppose you've got to think about is do you turn to spin at any stage? Do you? I mean, seamers have taken most of the wickets in the game, haven't they? There've been the odd exceptions, but
yeah, that is an interesting one. And also, which spinner do you go with?
Yeah.
I've just got a thought about that, which I'll share with you after this ball. As Sanderson comes in and bowls outside the off stump, Williams lets it go through to McManus, and that's the end of another over. 205 for 5. Bohannon on 99, Williams on 2. Lancashire need another 73 to win. My guess is, and I may be proved wrong, that they may possibly look at Keogh, who yesterday got quite a bit of bounce and turn on what is, we're saying about it being a 4th day pitch. It's actually a 5th day pitch because it was used for the women's ODI last week here at Northampton. And the first ball, I think, of his second spell that Keogh bowled, ballooned off the glove, could have gone anywhere. It bounced and turned, and it just eluded the man at forward short leg. Could have gone straight up in the air, could have gone anywhere. And he just sensed yesterday that Simon Kerrigan bowled perfectly tidily, but he just sensed as an attacking option, Keogh might possibly be a better bet, but we'll see. It's going to be white for now.
Yeah. But having watched the game, we've already commented on how well 2 or 3 seamers have bowled in the game. You could be forgiven for thinking that your best way forward is to persist with seam, I think, as White is in and bowls to Bohannon, who's on the back foot playing back up the pitch and stays on 99. So we've got a slip now, slip gully, cover point, extra, mid-off, mid-on. Man on the drive at short mid-wicket and square leg. Just one man back on the long leg boundary as Northampton attempt to make it difficult for Bohannon to get this crucial single. White is in and bowls. And oh, he's got his 100. Applauded from the balcony by his teammates as he clipped that one off his pads through mid-wicket. And the reason that I groaned is because, well, how far wide of that fielder at mid-wicket was it? Was it Gay in there?
Emilio Gay, yeah.
Mid-wicket dive to his left. It was in the air. It was passing him at catchable height, but it was just hit too hard. He was like a goalkeeper diving after a powerful shot. So Bohannon goes to 100. Brilliant innings from him. 166 balls, 18 fours and a 6. And as I say, warmly applauded by his teammates. His White again in bowls and he drives up to mid-off this time. Be a weight off his shoulders, Josh Bohannon. 103 not out, 209 for 5. So 69 more runs needed, and Lancashire have made a good start.
Yeah, terrific innings in the context by Josh Bohannon. Well played, but as you say, it wasn't that far away from Emilio Gay in the air. Dived away, couldn't get a hand on it, and it raced away over this very quick outfield still, despite a little bit of rain last couple of days for 4.
Jack White again in bowls and Bohannon is out. Caught in the gully. Good catch. Low down, diving forward. That's a big wicket, especially having just got the 100. Cracking catch by Will Young. Is it? No. Who was it in the gully? Sorry,
Well, it was, I tell you what,
it was a very good catch.
It was a very good catch because it only just carried. I think that was the point. It barely got there.
It went down all the way off the bat as well. That's the other thing.
And I wonder how often do you see in these sort of circumstances where a batter's played so well, and Josh Bohannon has, for his 100, and I don't know, maybe just a little bit of the lessening of the concentration. And it was Will Young who took that catch.
Yeah.
Who's got a wonderful pair of hands in those close catching positions. And so Bohannon goes, and it's just a human thing, isn't it? You get your 100, and there's just a little bit of the lessening of concentration, and White probing away on the right line, and it edged low, and a very, very good catch, as you say, by Will Young. He goes for 103 now, 209 for 6, 69 more runs required, 4 wickets standing. Point that Chris Liddell, Northamptonshire bowling coach, was making last night was that it's not an easy pitch, in his opinion, for somebody starting. He said it's not an easy pitch to start on. Well, we'll see. The final stats of Josh Bohannon's terrific innings, 168 balls. He was in there for 243 minutes, so just over 4 hours, with a 6 and 18 fours, giving his side a great chance of victory. But back in the pavilion now to be replaced.
Game on again.
And interesting that Washington Sundar has come in rather than Rob Jones.
Yeah, game on, I think. Yeah, left-hand, right-hand combination. And
maybe given a bit of licence, do you think, just to go in and...
Yeah, well, you could change the game in half an hour, couldn't
absolutely.
you? Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Jack White, tail up. Felt he was unlucky not to get Bohannon when he got 100. Around the wicket, bowls to Sundar. Are we calling him Washington or Sundar, or both? I think Washington on all the scorecards.
Yes, I've tended to go for Sundar. We've been saying because Washington, the ancestral home of the Washington family, including George Washington, is not that far away from here. It's in Northamptonshire, down at Solgrave Manor. There was a Lawrence Washington, member of the family, who was mayor of Northampton in the 16th century. So we did suggest that he might go and have a little look at the ancestral home.
Well, he'll have this afternoon to do it if he wants to. White bowls to him, and he's forward, pushing back to the bowler. No run. End of the over. 209 for 6. Wicket taking over for Jack White. 14 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 45. Good catch by Will Young. And Will Young will be one reason, I suspect, just a little reason he'll be really chuffed with that is first game as captain. Didn't really get many runs in either innings, and nice to make a sort of physical contribution as well for the man from New Plymouth, which is the city that I went to when I went to New Zealand for a season. And I chatted with Will at Durham last year when he was playing for them, and it turns out that many of the players that I played alongside and whatever were the coaches that brought him through as a youngster. It's a small world.
Isn't it just? Well, it's interesting talking to him after the appointment, because, as you say, this is his first game as Red Bull captain, coming to replace Ricardo Vasconcelos, who's decided to step down. And he's had 2.5 years as captain of the Central Stags out in New Zealand, so he has a bit of experience. Here's Sanderson starting a fresh over, and that's wide down the leg side, and it's going to be a couple of byes, I think. I don't think it took anything on the way through. It was a leap to his left by Lewis McManus, and it is indeed 2 byes, so 2 more onto the total, 211 for 6. Last night, Frank, when McManus was standing up to Ben Sanderson, Sanderson slipped in the bouncer, and it gave McManus absolutely no chance. He didn't get anything on it. No. He went for 4 byes, and we were slightly puzzled as to what the thinking.
Yeah, sometimes a bowler just doesn't like it, you know.
No, well,
that was it's just wasted runs again, isn't it?
67 more to win. Sanderson in bowls to Williams. Again, very solidly, plenty of time in behind
third
it.
Man in now as well.
Yes, the Third Man Liberation Front have had their way. Or the Third Man Preservation Society, probably, more accurately. Yes, we do have a third man in. Still 2 slips. Vasconcelos at first, Young at second. Tom Taylor in there at backward point. We do have Ryan Rickleton down there to our right at third man. And Keogh in at short extra. Big gap through mid-off, big gap through the covers as Sanderson comes in outside the off stump. No ball. So there's 4 runs that sort of been leaked in this over, which I'm sure...
Sloppy cricket.
It is. I'm sure bowling coach in particular, Chris Liddle, won't be hugely impressed with that. 65 more runs for Lancashire to win. Well, the talk this morning, Frank, was if Bohannon stays, then Lancashire win. Easy as that. Bohannon's gone, but Northamptonshire still need to... Chris Liddle was also saying Northamptonshire need to be at their best this morning, and they need to give Lancashire nothing. Well, they have given Lancashire a few easy runs this morning in the extras column. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls outside the off stump. Good leave by Williams. Although I don't think it was probably as close to off stump as the oohing and ahhing from behind the stumps might suggest, but we've become very, very used to that, I have to say, in this match from both sides. Yeah, it wasn't that. I was just watching on the replay. It wasn't that close to off stump, but anyway, it was a good leave, and Williams is doing his job very well here, and did so last night. Here's Sanderson running towards us in bowls to Williams. And the line of off stump, and again Williams playing it very solidly back down the pitch. Sanderson fields in his follow through, and there's no run. We'll of course keep you up to date with what's happening in the other matches. Gloucestershire just lost another wicket down at Cheltenham. They're following on against Hampshire. Gloucestershire now 201 for 5 in their second innings, so they're still 55 runs behind, 5 wickets standing. Start delayed down at Taunton because of rain. Somerset 225 for 6 in their second innings against Yorkshire. Here's Sanderson in again. Bowls edged, and has he caught it? Has it carried? Or did it tip the top of the pad, I wonder? I thought it had got an edge. It didn't carry to McManus. Maybe it didn't get an edge, and maybe it was just an appeal for LBW. Either way, it's not out. I thought he'd edged it.
Maybe it didn't carry, but McManus picked it up and continued his appeal, so maybe he was appealing for LBW. Well, difficult one.
It's a difficult. My first thought was that was an edge. I don't think it did actually carry through to McManus.
No. It's a bit of extra pressure, though.
Well, yes, it's the nearest they've come to dislodging Williams so far. Here's Sanderson in again, down the leg side, and Williams just not needing to play at that. It goes down to be taken by Lewis McManus. And that's the end of the over. 213 for 6. Williams is 2. Sundar yet to get off the mark. Another 65 runs required by Lancashire. They have 99 overs today in which to get them, so I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue somehow.
Another wicket now would really make it tight, wouldn't it? I think
it would be squeaky proverbials time, wouldn't it? Then I think
Ben Sanderson's hasn't
hasn't
found his rhythm, as you can just tell. His length's all over the place, his lines all over the place. He's bowled a couple of no balls. He's bowled some good ones as well, but it's just not coming together quite so nicely as it is for White, who's in now and bowls this one. A good leave by Sundar outside off stump, and then scoots through quite low to McManus behind the stumps. Took it on the bounce. Horrible one for a keeper to take.
Yeah,
could easily pop up and hit you in the face and the mouth, but took it cleanly. But it's just that wicket has changed the mood out there, and exactly what I was talking about a few minutes ago about the body language and the chirp from the field as it's stepped up considerably as White comes in now and bowls again to Sundar, who plays this one uncertainly, propping forward, and then it kind of hits the bat and flies down onto his foot, rolls out on the offside. Bit more tension out there.
Yeah, absolutely. There is at the Oval. Surrey, you need 161 to win against Essex and 93 for 2, so you would think the leaders are on for another win there. At Edgbaston, Warwickshire set 325 to win against Kent, a 60 for 3.
That's a game on, isn't it?
It is.
There's White again. Round the wicket to the left-handed Sundar. This one's a bit wide. He leaves it alone. And again, not much bounce. Very full. Kind of pitched in the sort of footholds outside Sundar's off stump, and he left it alone. Skidded through again to McManus, he's got to be on his toes back there, because one of those slips through and it's 4 byes and 4 more towards this ever approaching Lancashire target of 278. White again is in. Bowl. Sundar is very watchful, playing back up to the bowl. I must say, White's been on the money this morning.
Yeah.
Having said that, Sanderson's been a bit wayward. White's hardly bowled a ball that has offered a scoring opportunity, occasionally a little bit of width, but and very tight.
Funnily enough, Frank, it was the opposite last night when Sanderson was absolutely on it, and Jack, having bowled beautifully in the first innings, was just a little bit wayward at times.
Comes in again now. White bowls. Again, Sundar is pushing back to him. He's not. It's a slightly laboured approach, Jack White, isn't it? It's not.
Well, I have to try you out.
He doesn't flow to the
I have
crease.
to try you out with this one, Frank, because it's a sort of comment that we've been making a time or two, and it took me a little while to work out who he reminded me of.
Okay.
And it's the late great Mike Hendrick.
Yeah, absolutely. See that
rocking shouldered run.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. He's in bowls, and Sundar is off the mark, turning this one down to fine leg. Runs the first one quickly, hoping for a second, but doesn't get it. As Sanderson comes in quickly and sends a throw back in. Yeah, absolutely see that, and I've just got to go and do an update.
Yeah, it's the approach rather than the action, but yeah, Frank's just off to update listeners in the Northwest. He'll be back with us presently. Sweater coming on for, I think, for one of the Northamptonshire. It's actually not. It's the coat coming on for one of the umpires. So it's obviously not that warm out there this morning. It was a little bit chilly, I have to say, when I was having a little walk on the gantry just before we started play. Certainly in considerable contrast to 40 degrees that we had on Tuesday. But yeah, I was just wondering if there was a sweater coming out for one of the players. It was actually one of the umpires' coats. One of the umps had the coat on at the start, the other didn't. So Sanderson is going to continue, notwithstanding, as Frank said, the fact that he hasn't been so far quite at his probing best this morning. So far, 18 overs, 5 maidens, 3 for 57, bowled beautifully yesterday. 64 more runs required by Lancashire to win. Slip in the gully in place. Vasconcelos is at slip. Young is in the gully. Then a man on either side on the drive. Short mid-wicket, short extra cover. Sanderson bowling to the left-handed Washington. Sundar is in behind that, pushing it out into the offside. Gay comes round to field, and there's no run. In Division 2, start delayed at Trent Bridge between Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire. Derbyshire following on 79 for no wicket in their second innings, still 221 behind. At Lords, Sussex are 19 for 1 in their second innings against Middlesex. High-scoring first innings, Sussex 57 ahead. And at Grace Road, Glamorgan 137 for 2 in reply to Leicestershire's 584. Sanderson in again outside the off stump, left alone by Sundar. It swung late after it had passed the bat and taken by Lewis McManus around the line of leg stump. It's a little bit heavy this morning. Now the sun has come out. There's quite a bit of cloud around still, so there was some rain much earlier this morning. Doesn't seem to have made a lot of difference to the outfield, and the pitch, of course, totally covered. Here's Sanderson over the wicket from the David Capel end. In again, bowls to Sundar, plays it up to Proctor at mid-off. And there's no run. It was later today. It's due to be the second men's ODI up at Old Trafford between England and South Africa. And I understand, looking at the one or two of the bits on social media this morning, the weather up in Manchester's not great this morning. So hopefully they will be able to get away on time at 1 o'clock. It's fine here. Sun is out. And Sanderson running into bowler Washington. Sundar is beaten outside the off stump. That's much more like the Ben Sanderson that Northamptonshire supporters know and love. Slips one past the outside edge. Applause for Sanderson, particularly from his captain, Will Young. He hasn't had a bad game to start as captain, has he, Young? As I say, he's got plenty of experience of captaining sides in first-class cricket, 2.5 seasons at Central Stags. He pointed when I think he was just 22. But this is his first championship match as captain of Northamptonshire. Not a bad game to start with. Here's Sanderson in again. Bowls to Sundar, steered on the bounce to Young in the gully. He took that cracking catch to dismiss Josh Bohannon earlier on. 214 for 6. 64 more runs needed. And there's an interesting point that Frank was making earlier. At what point does Will Young think we may need a little bit of spin? See maybe if Kerrigan, Keogh or both. For now, it's Sanderson to finish the over. In bowls to Washington. Sundar beaten again outside the off stump. Full length, beat the outside edge, and Ricardo Vasconcelos has slipped, throwing his arms in the air, but no edge. End of a much better over. At least the second half of the over was much more like it from Ben Sanderson. 214 for 6 with Williams on 2. Washington. Sundar has made a single. Lancashire need 64 more runs to win. They have 4 wickets in hand.
This is absolutely gripping stuff now, I think. I heard you say earlier in the game that it was tense and attention-grabbing cricket on days 1 and 2, but it's building up beautifully now here. Very tense. Another wicket. I'd say it's tilted back in the home side's favour. Another 20 runs, and you'd say Lancashire are, you know, hot favourites, but it could go either way. I think the next half an hour is going to be crucial. I really do.
It used to stay at the start of Fireball XL5, wasn't it? Anything could happen in the next half hour.
Yeah, I remember that. Gosh, we're showing our age. Here's Jack White in and bowls to Williams, who pushes out on the onside. Amelia Gay fields at mid-wicket and there's no run. I heard you talking and eulogising, and I was in total agreement with you about Rumpole of the Bailey yesterday. And I just couldn't believe that Scott Reed had never really heard of it. I just couldn't believe it. But there you go.
The youth of today.
Well, saying that, my daughter gets married a week tomorrow, heaven forbid, and her fiancé is a massive fan of Rumpole of the Bailey, even though he's only in his 30s.
It's encouraging.
In comes White again, bowls, and this one is pushed out on the offside by Williams, who's been a model of calm this morning. He hasn't added any runs. He was on 2 overnight, and he's still on 2, but he hasn't really attempted to add any runs. He just played a solid defensive shot to almost every ball he's faced. He feels unflappable.
He's done a really good job, hasn't he? Yes, it was such a long day yesterday. The conversation ranged far and wide, I think it's fair to say.
I caught quite a bit of it. Here's White again, bowls, and Williams turns this on the leg side. Thought he was going to get his first run, but he doesn't, as it's fielded at square leg by, who's that in the
That's Ryan Rickleton in the
he batted well yesterday, didn't he?
He did,
really
in the rather lurid orange-soled boots. He played well. I think some Northamptonshire supporters will have a view about him batting down at 6, having batted at 3 in the first 2 games and made 100 in each of them. And there was always a danger, until Simon Kerrigan, that he might have just run out of partners yesterday.
Yeah, played well yesterday. There's White in both. That's good delivery from Jack White. It's good leave as well from Williams, because it pitched and left him a little bit off the pitch. White keeping going well. I've got that Mike Henrik thing in my head now. Can't get it out, but he is. It's the run up, isn't it?
Yes, it's not the action so much. No, it's the run up. It's the rocking shoulders.
Exactly that. And as I say, it's quite laboured. It's not the smoothest, but when he gets there, everything seems to come together nicely, and he's bowled absolutely beautifully for much of this game, and has picked up the wicket that has fallen this morning. Comes in again now and bowls, and Williams again is unable to add to his score, just pushing this one out on the onside. Thought about a run, but Gay was very quick despite being encumbered by those very bulky shin pads under his trousers. It almost looks like he's wearing wicket-keeping pads, doesn't it? But he got round quickly and saved the single. He doesn't really need them when he's in there, but it's where if he goes into proper short leg, I suppose, that he does.
Tom Taylor just loosening up mid-on, yeah.
Notice that. Here comes White again over the wicket to the right-handed Williams, who again absolutely studiously forward, head right over the ball, pushes the ball back to the bowler. They're very, very tidy over from Jack White. His figures now 16 overs, 5 maidens, 1 for 46. And Lancashire 214 for 6. Target, remember, is 278.
What is interesting also is how were Northamptonshire to pick up another wicket, how the remaining batters would play it. I mean, we know that Tom Bailey and Luke Wood both can be destructive players. Rob Jones, obviously, is a recognised batsman. Northamptonshire just need to keep plugging away, stay patient and stay believing. It's going to be Sanderson to continue, starting his 20th over. In from the David Capel end, bowls to the left-handed Washington Sundar, pushes that up towards mid-off, fielded there by Luke Proctor as the sun goes behind a cloud for the time being. 2 slips and a gully in place. Vasconcelos is first now, Young second, and Emilio Gay has moved into the gully. Backward point, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. And a long leg down to our right. Close to where the ice cream van would be, but it's not actually here today. The small crowd making it not really worthwhile. Sanderson in again outside the off stump, left alone by Washington Sundar, has been very patient so far. Been in a little while after the fall of Josh Bohannon's wicket. He's faced 15 balls, just 1 run. It's on his Lancashire debut, picked up 5 wickets in Northamptonshire's first innings. What a debut it would be for him if, having picked up 5 wickets with the ball, he could see Lancashire through to victory here. 214 for 6. They need another 64 to win. Sanderson round the wicket to him outside the off stump. Good leave by Washington Sundar. Just watches it shape away wide of off stump, taken by Lewis McManus.
Sanderson's bowled a lot better at the left-hander for some reason.
Yeah, and there's no obvious reason why that should be. But it just feels it's getting into a little bit of a groove here, which Northamptonshire need. What point does Will Young make the change? Sanderson in again on the line of off stump, played very soundly by Washington Sundar out into the covers.
Just looking at Twitter, there's some pessimistic Northants fans around, aren't they? James Freeman.
Oh, yes. Morning, James.
The county take another 3 wickets, but Lancashire just make it over the line.
Yeah, I saw that. Well,
come on, James.
Might be, well, it's the point. I know George is suggesting, George Woods, we did mention earlier, he's comment about a third man. He said it could be the difference between staying up and going down. We'll see. Here's Sanderson round the wicket, bowls to Sundar. Turns that away. Run for him here as it goes out towards mid-wicket. He thinks, well, Williams was thinking about a second, but Rickleton was quickly to the ball, sends in his return. And they settle for a single, which takes Washington Sundar up to 2. And Lancashire to 215 for 6. 63 more runs required. Lancashire third in the table currently. Northamptonshire fifth with 103 points from 8 games. So they do have a game in hand over a number of the other sides. So the situation, if Northamptonshire were to win this game, I think they'd be looking up rather than looking down. Otherwise, they'll still be keeping an eye on the teams below them. Have to play bottom of the table Gloucestershire, of course, next week at Cheltenham. Here's Sanderson into Williams, stretches forward, pushes it out into the covers. Keogh fields coming in from extra, and that's the end of another Sanderson over. 20 overs, 6 maidens, 3 for 58. Lancashire 215 for 6. 63 more runs required. Sundar is 2, Williams is 2. And it is going to be Jack White to continue from this indoor centre end.
Yeah, I wonder how much longer he'll keep going. I can understand exactly why Will Young's keeping him going, because he's got a nice rhythm. And it's all about the next, you know, there's no point really saving him for later. It's got to happen now, hasn't it? So I think he'd keep him going. It's important not to keep him going too long, because you don't want to get to that over where he bowls a couple of bad ones because he's tired. You've got to time it right.
And Northamptonshire only have the 3 seamers because Proctor's not really fit to bowl. So they've got Taylor, obviously, as we said, has been loosening up, but they've really gone in with 5 bowlers, and that's pretty much all they've got.
Yeah. But White it is anyway to continue. He's in there round the wicket to the left-handed Sundar, who's forward, pushing up to mid-off. One of those periods of the game now where the old cliche comes out, but every ball is an event. You really do feel that every ball is absolutely crucial at the moment. It's gripping stuff. It's gripping stuff, and the small crowd that's here, fair amount of tension amongst them, I would think, whichever side they're following. As White is in and bowls, and Sundar times this beautifully off his pads, out to square leg. Will he go for 4? Yes, it will. Good effort by Sanderson, running round on the square leg boundary, but sliding. And the turf is so dry and so parched that you can imagine that once you get sliding, it's difficult to control yourself. It's not a lush green outfield, and he just slid too far, really.
And it's also the old net pitches down there, which, although they haven't been used for a year or two now,
still that old solidity.
They're still very solid, and once it hits them, it runs away for 4.
And he slid past it, really, and it went under his body. So it's 4. It's a good shot, though, to be fair to Sundar. Nicely timed. He goes to 6. Williams still hasn't scored this morning. 45 minutes he's been out there. And White again round the wicket. And Sundar is forward. Talked about those bad balls. That's the first error of line from Jack White for ages, I think. And Washington Sundar picked up on it, but he's back on the money with that next one. But it possibly a sign that he is just tiring a little bit.
Well, Simon Kerrigan's also just
making a suggestion, isn't he, about changing the field? Is he?
So Kerrigan's also limbering up. So
yeah. We might see a change. Here's White in, bowls, and Sundar is forward, pushes out on the offside, and there's no run. It's one of those, isn't it? Great scenario, really. You know, there's always a worry if you bring the spinner on that there's a shortish boundary on one side, and one of the batters could think, well, you know, I'm going to see what I can do in an over or 2, just have a go and change the game, because we only need another 50, 60 to win. It's a club scenario, isn't it, where you often get that. But at the same time, just mishit one, and the spinner presses home the advantage. So all options available and possible. White again, absolutely bullet straight with this one, and Sundar pushing out into the covers. But you know, club cricket, when I was a young lad, I can remember often the old wily spinner would come on and tease out the tail in a situation like this. It's obviously a bit different at this level, but in many ways the same sort of scenario, albeit on a completely different skill level, can be played out in a game like this, or even in a test match.
Now, White switching to over the wicket, and I think this is possibly a suggestion. It seemed to be coming from behind the stumps that Lewis McManus was giving, as though he was parking a jumbo jet, indicating that he needed to maybe change his line of attack. And they're moving, they're putting out deep mid-wicket back as well.
Interesting change now. And the gully's gone in. Well, fourth slip. Gay has gone into there. White bowl. Sundar is very solidly forward to this one, punching it up to mid-off. So it was a bluff putting the man back on the leg side, but it was followed up with a full-length delivery from White. Tidy over, again, despite that boundary, which may well have only been 2 had the save been effective. 219 for 6 at the end of the over. White now 17 overs, 5 maidens, 1 for 50. Williams still yet to score this morning, is on 2. Sundar is on 6.
Yeah, 59 more runs required by Lancashire. 219 for 6. Sanderson is going to continue from the David Capel end with 2 slips and a gully in place. His 21st over of the innings, and he's in bowling to Williams, who's onto the back foot, punches it out into the covers, where it's fielded there by Rob Keogh with the telltale towel sticking out of the back of his trousers.
40 balls now, Williams, for his 2.
Well, he's done a decent job.
Yeah, that is not to devalue it.
No, well, I say he played very well last night. I think obviously a lot of questioning of whether one night watchman was necessary, let alone 2, but he's still there as Sanderson comes in, bowls to him, and he's going to pick up 4. He's just straight on leg stump, and Williams able to turn that away, and it races down to fine leg for 4 runs, and it takes Lancashire a little bit closer to their target. 223 for 6, 55 more runs required. Lewis McManus volunteers to trot down and retrieve the ball from the boundary. Just once or twice this morning, as we were saying, Ben Sanderson's slightly lost his line to the right-hander, as Frank made the point, not so much to the left-hander, but it's just gone down the leg side, helped round for 4. 223 for 6. Sanderson in bowls, and again worked out into the onside by Williams, although I suspect that was from around about the line of middle and off. Fielded by Kerrigan at mid-wicket, and there's no run. 55 more runs Lancashire need to wrap up victory in this match. Not a huge number of spectators in, but all of them, as we are, absorbed in what's been a terrific game of cricket. Has it still got a few twists and turns left in it as Sanderson comes in, bowls to Williams, plays it down to backward point. Rickleton fields, and there's no run. Yes, the whole Brian Rickleton at 6 thing obviously has come about with Will Young coming back into the side, which meant that he went in obviously to open. Emilio Gay dropped down to 3. They wanted, presumably, to keep Luke Proctor at 4, which he's obviously had where he's had such a good season, which meant Keogh 5, Rickleton 6. I say there was a grave danger yesterday until Simon Kerrigan dug in that Rickleton would just have run out of partners and been left high and dry, 25 not out or something. Short goes Sanderson, wide outside off stump. Williams not to be tempted. Goes through to Lewis McManus, stays at 223 for 6. I'm just having a look at where Ben Sanderson is following through. Just a look at this stage, nothing more formal. Sanderson waiting at the end of his mark. Running in towards us. Bowls to Williams, who's on the back foot, playing it up to Keogh with extra cover. And that's another over safely negotiated by Lancashire with that boundary to boot. 223 for 6, 55 more runs they need. Williams is 6, Washington Sundar is 6. Sanderson's bowled 21 overs, 6 maidens, 3 for 62. And Jack White is going to continue to bowl his 18th over. He picked up the only wicket to fall this morning, if you're just joining us. Josh Bohannon having got his 100 with a slightly uppish boundary away through mid-wicket. Very well caught by Will Young off White for 103. At that stage it was 209 for 6. It's now 223 for 6.
White to continue. Over the wicket. It's his 6th over, I think, so far today. He's in, outside the off stump, left alone by Sundar, through to the keeper.
Yes,
I'll give you one stat that I think is quite significant, Andrew. Chasing 278, they need another 55, as you say. 27 extras so far in this innings. 14 no balls, 1 wide, 6 leg byes and 6 byes. And, you know, those are the sort of stats that can damage you as a fielding side in a chase like this. Just been a few too many free runs, really. White hasn't provided many of them. He's been on target most of the time, and he's on target again now as Sundar pushes a good length ball up to mid-on. And there's no run. Rickleton now dispatched to the cover boundary. Taylor's loosening up at mid-off becomes more intense, suggesting that he may well be about to replace Sanderson at the Capel end. Meanwhile, from the indoor school end, White is in and bowls, and that's an absolutely model forward defensive from Washington Sunday. You could have taken a picture of that and put it in a coaching manual.
Well, of the 5 Northamptonshire bowlers used, 4 of them have bowled at least 1 no ball in this innings, and as you suggested there, the one that hasn't is Jack White. Sanderson's bowled 3. Simon Kerrigan bowled a couple, 1 each for Keogh and Taylor.
Yeah, it's mad for spinners to bowl no balls. I just don't get it at all. White is in again and bowls, and again, good length, good line, just outside off stump. Sundar, good judgment, good leave, and through to the keeper.
And Rob Keogh bowled a wide yesterday, I remember, quite early on.
That's unusual as well. For a spinner to bowl a wide in red ball cricket is very, very unusual, isn't it?
And it was a wide as well. It was very wide.
Something's gone wrong there. White, as we say, not culpable when it comes to such offences. He's in again and he bowls, and Sundar drives, clips really I should say, rather than drives, nicely on the onside, wide of mid-on. And they go through for 2 quite comfortably. Scoring opportunities have been limited though. Sundar goes on to 8, Williams is 6, it's 225 for 6. So when you think that 6 runs came off the first over of the morning, so 198 at the end of the first over, only 27 added since then. It's been fairly tough going, but crucially only the 1 wicket for Northamptonshire. White in again, bowls again, good line. He's gone round the wicket again, obviously feeling that it's worth a try at the end of the over. Finishes it with a leave from Sundar. He's on 8, Williams 6. 53 runs needed, 225 for 6.
Yes, in a few minutes' time, I'm sure Frank and I will be updating our respective stations, but of course commentary will continue on the live stream. Still raining down at Taunton, raining quite heavily I'm told, where Somerset are 225 for 6 with a big lead over Yorkshire, 373, but and there's going to be a change of bowling from the far end, so Sanderson takes a blow and Tom Taylor, the 3rd seamer in this Northamptonshire attack, comes in to join the fun. 8 overs, 1 for 26 so far. Taylor in this innings picked up the wicket of Luke Wells last night. Decision is probably fair to say Luke Wells wasn't overly enamoured with and made that view fairly apparent. In fact, perhaps maybe a little bit too apparent, possibly for.
May have drawn the attention of the match referee.
Well, it may have been a headmaster's study job.
Yeah.
Wayne Noon is match referee for this match, former Northamptonshire and Nottinghamshire keeper, and of course involved in the coaching staff at Notts for many years.
They're usually quite hot on that kind of thing.
Yeah, they don't. They're not keen, are they? Anyway, we don't know, but it was fairly apparent. Here's Taylor, 225 for 6, 53 to win. Taylor in bowling to Williams, who stands up tall, plays it up to mid-wicket, fielded by Emilio Gay, and there's no run. Williams 6 not out of 47 balls. Washington Sundar 8 not out of 31. And as Frank said, that gives you an idea of how few scoring opportunities there have been, but Lancashire have got time on their side. They can take all day if they need to. So 91 overs in the day after this one, so half a run and over will do. Here's Taylor in, hangs that outside the off stump. Williams not to be tempted. Goes through to Lewis McManus. Yes, it's disappointing, I'm sure, for Somerset, having got themselves into a very strong position in that game. Now to see the weather intervening.
I very much hope that weather makes its way up the M5 to my part of the world, because we don't often need it.
Yes, it's certainly very, very dry around at the moment. Here's Taylor running in again, bowls short, ducks underneath it. Will Williams taken by McManus. Sun tries to come through the clouds. There's a little bit of blue sky above us actually, so I think the overcast conditions that I know Northamptonshire were hoping for this morning and don't look like materialising, to be perfectly honest. It's a cloud very high and there's a little bit of sunshine coming through now. It's a nice morning. A few more spectators have drifted in as well, a few more sitting over in the white seats, the old mound stand over to our right between the signal box and the new pavilion. Slip and a gully in place as Taylor comes in, bowls to Williams, very full, pushed up to extra cover where Rob Keogh fields, and there's no run. Gloucestershire hanging on down at Cheltenham, 233 for 5 now in their second innings, following on, so trailing Hampshire by 23 runs. At the Oval, where Surrey was set 161 to win by Essex, there 124 for 2, so only another 37 runs needed. Here's Taylor in bowls to Williams again, forward on the front foot, pushes it up the pitch for Taylor to field off his own bowling, and there's no run. 124 for 2, 37 more runs needed there for Surrey at the Oval. At Edgbaston, Warwickshire are digging in, 82 for 3 in their second innings, needing another 243 to beat Kent. There's an inspection at Trent Bridge, so presumably the rain has stopped at up in Nottingham. Derbyshire following on, of course, against the home side there. Here's Taylor in, bowls short, ducked underneath it. Will Williams goes through to Lewis McManus, and that's the end of first over of Tom Taylor's spell this morning. 9 overs, 1 for 26, 225 for 6 Lancashire, 53 more runs required, with Washington Sundar on 8, and I think we're going to have a change at this end now, which would be no great surprise given the fact that Jack White has bowled 6 overs this morning, and he's going to be replaced by the left arm spin of Simon Kerrigan. So Kerrigan coming into the attack from this Lynn Wilson indoor centre end. You would think there's going to be a little bit of turn today, as we say what is effectively the 5th day of use of this pitch. Turned a bit yesterday, but turned fairly slowly. There was a little bit of bounce, which Rob Keogh extracted from the pitch last night. Keogh picking up the wicket of Matt Parkinson. Kerrigan wicketless in the innings so far. 11 overs, no wicket for 37. Picked up just 1 wicket in the first innings out of Keaton Jennings before Jack White ripped into Lancashire after lunch on the second day. So, Kerrigan to bowl to the left-handed Washington Sundar. Slip in place, forward short leg. Backward point, extra cover on the boundary. Mid-off, mid-on back. And close in at mid-wicket. Deep mid-wicket, deep backward square. Sundar picks up an easy single. First ball, plays it up to Luke Proctor, who's very deep. Long on. Not quite on the boundary, about 2/3 of the way back, but an easy single to be had. Takes Sundar to 9 and Lancashire to 226 for 6. 52 more runs required. Sun out now, shining brightly. Kerrigan just tweaking his field for the right-handed Williams. Moving another man in front of square on the leg side into mid-wicket. And moving the deep square behind square, just in front of the signal box. As Kerrigan round the wicket to Will Williams, flights that up very full, and Williams jams down hard at it, bounces up to Kerrigan. Fields off his own bowling. Kerrigan in again, bowls to Williams on the back foot, punched away for a single by Williams. 227 for 6. Lancashire 227 for 6. They need another 51 more runs to win with 4 wickets in hand. Northamptonshire picking up just the 1 wicket this morning. It was the important one of Josh Bohannon, who just having reached his century was very well caught in the slip cordon in the gully, in fact, by Will Young off the bowling of Jack White. He made 103. At that stage, it was 209 for 6. But Washington Sundar, the Indian Test player, and the overnight night watchman, Will Williams, have dug in. Sundar is 9, Williams is 7. Simon Kerrigan has just come into the attack, replacing Jack White, who bowled beautifully from this Lynn Wilson indoor centre end. But Northamptonshire needing wickets and needing them fairly quickly. 227 for 6, Lancashire. They need another 51 to win. And that next ball is played just in front of Emilio Gay at forward short leg by Washington Sundar, bounced just in front of the man under the helmet at forward short leg. Kerrigan in again, bowls to Sundar, looking to try and work that away on the onside. Just rolls up to Young at mid-wicket, and that's the end of the over. A couple of runs off it. Kerrigan, no wicket for 39, and Lancashire 227 for 6. They need another 51 to win. Northamptonshire need 4 wickets. And it is going to be Tom Taylor to continue from the David Capel end. Again, it's such a difficult one, judgment for Will Young to make. Talking to one of the senior officials here at Northamptonshire this morning, we were talking about Rob Keogh, and he said, he's an attacking off-spinner. And I say yesterday, as soon as he came into the attack, things started to happen. The ball was bouncing a bit, it was turning a bit, but equally there are scoring opportunities. Yeah. It's a difficult judgment for Will Young to make, I think.
Here's Taylor from the Capel end, and that's a half volley driven very nicely up the ground by Williams, but stopped by Rickleton, running across from mid-on. Didn't field it cleanly, parried it away to his left, and the fielding completed by fielder at mid-off, who is?
Luke Proctor.
Luke Proctor. And they wanted, well, I say they, Williams wanted 2, Sundar didn't. They settled for 1. In a way, I think Taylor got away with that one, because that could easily, a yard straighter, and that was 4 down the ground. There haven't been many boundaries. 1 boundary this morning, I think, possibly.
The Williams.
Two, with the one that Bohannon got his 100 with.
And the Williams one down there, the little glance.
And the Sanderson 3, actually, I think. Anyway, so I was way off. Taylor round the wicket to the left-handed Sundar now. He's in and bowls. That's a good leave. Outside off stump. 228 for 6 with that single to Williams, who's added 6 in an hour this morning. And those
proper cricket
come in the last 10 minutes or so. But if he finishes 25 not out and they win, he'll have played a match, well, an innings which will very much contribute to the success of his side. No blame attached to him. Absolutely.
He's had a decent match as well, hasn't he?
Played well.
Seven wickets in the match.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor again round the wicket, bowls, and again left alone outside the off stump by Sundar. These two have been exemplary, really, in their judgment about what to play and what to leave, and they've conducted this partnership. It's only 19, but they've been together for, well, let's see, when did the wicket get in? The 60th over, so they've been together for over 10 overs, scoring at under 2 an over, but they're not bothered, just ticking it along. Just small targets, that's what batsmen will talk about in partnerships, chasing targets. 220, let's get to 235, let's get to 240, and left again by Washington Sundar outside the off stump. Good one from Taylor this time, but again a good leave. One ball at a time, that's the sort of thing they'll be saying to each other between overs. One ball at a time, just deal with the next one, deal with the next one, see where we are in 5 overs time, and just tick along towards this target. 50 more runs now required. Meanwhile, Will Young moving his troops around a little bit, got a man out at deep backward square on the catch and a man at a sort of wide long leg. So Taylor might bang one in short, but he doesn't. Fires this one. Good pace from the young man outside the off stump, left alone again by Sundar, who is almost challenging Taylor to just bowl a bit straighter by leaving and leaving and leaving. Changing the field now, the mid-wicket going over to short extra cover, mid-on going a bit wider. Just 3 men on the leg side now, 2 of them back, 2 slips and a gully, and Taylor round the wicket. Can he make Sundar play with this one? He's in. No, he doesn't make him play. Got the impression that might just have gone a little bit off the seam, that one at the end of the over. Good over from Tom Taylor. Just a 1 run from it. His figures now 10 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 27. Jack White, the pick of the bowlers so far today, he's picked up the 1 wicket to fall, that of Josh Bohannon. 18 overs, 5 maidens, 1 for 52. And the other bowlers we've seen today, Sanderson 3 for 62 off 21. Didn't really find his best rhythm this morning. And Kerrigan, who's bowled just the 1 over. Just talking about the spinners, Andrew, and watching Kerrigan here, particularly when he's bowling at the left-hander, there's a bit of rough up there outside the off-stump from the bowler's foot moulds, but it's very full, isn't it? And
yeah,
a big man like Washington, Sundar, he's trying to find the rough, but it's almost too full for the bowler.
Get out and counter it before it actually
gets there,
lands in there and causes a problem. Kerrigan, first ball of his next over, his 13th over, is played out into the offside by Williams, who's on 8. There's still the slip and the forward short leg in place. Round the wicket comes Kerrigan. Tosses that up a little bit more out of the line of off stump. Played down to Keogh at backward point. And there's no run. Kerrigan, who, as we always say, whips through his overs so quickly. Round the wicket again. Bowls to Williams. And that is the first, what about the first false shot that Williams has played? He was aiming to play that away through mid-wicket. And he just turned enough to take the edge, and it goes down to Keogh at backward point. Moral success for Kerrigan. That's short, and Williams trying to force off the back foot is beaten. Goes past the outside edge into the gloves of McManus. Kerrigan, a couple of little moral successes now in the over. He's in again, bowls to Williams, who this time is very solidly in behind that, pushes it up to Will Young, an extra cover, and there's no run. And for the last ball, 2 balls to go in the over, and in moving out mid-wicket, a little bit deeper, Ryan Rickleton retreating back towards the west stand. So around about 10 yards in from the boundary now at deep mid-wicket. Kerrigan is in, bowls, and it's forced away past forward short leg, and he's going to pick up a single out to Rickleton. Now at deep mid-wicket, so 1 more to Williams. Goes to 9, and Lancashire to 229 for 6. That was in fact the end of the over, so 229 for 6 it is 49 more runs required. So another one of those little psychological obstacles overcome. Lancashire's requirement now under 50. 49 more runs will see them to the points. 229 for 6. Williams is 9. Washington Sundar is 9. Jack White just trotting off the field. So 12th man is on. James Sales, I think, is now on the park.
Had a tweet from Samrat who says, Washington Sundar made his debut for India at the Gabba in early 2021 and played a crucial part in a partnership for the 7th, or partnerships for the 7th and 8th wickets, scored a nice 60-odd to reduce Australia's lead, which gave the visitors an important advantage. And he made 20 on the 5th day. Yeah, well, he's
played in all 3 formats for India.
Yeah,
so
he's a very, very capable player. Thank you for that. In comes Tom Taylor again from the Capel end and bowls, and forward comes Williams, pushes out on the offside. Is anybody else who wants to get in touch? 65 Gambo says, good afternoon, Andrew and Scott. Scott's not here. It's Andrew and Frank. I'm Frank Watson. Normally following Worcestershire, but covering for Scott today, who is elsewhere, covering for BBC Radio Manchester, BBC Radio Lancashire. And although I'm neutral, enjoying a really good contest here, in which I'm not too emotionally invested, which is quite a pleasant feeling, really. In comes Taylor again and bowls, and Williams leaves alone outside the off stump. But I'm happy to hear from listeners, and both Andrew and I are on Twitter. I'm at Frank Watson 58, and Andrew is at Old Man Rad. I can tell you it's tense here, and if you're watching on the stream and listening to our commentary, you're probably feeling tense too, especially if you've got feelings that run deep for either of these two sides. 229 for 6 it remains. Tough work this morning for everybody. Tom Taylor, a quick, athletic approach, bowls quite full, driven up to mid-off by Williams. You would imagine, another thing from a Lancashire point of view, I know it's a different competition and probably only about half the side, but you know, the hangover from finals day in terms of the club is there. Something we've experienced at Worcestershire this year, had a bad white ball campaign, and it was such a relief to return to red ball and for the players to perform somewhere near their capabilities again after being so disappointing in a white ball and so disappointed themselves. Taylor bowls, Williams nicely played, best shot he's played probably today, that one, clipped through mid-wicket, timed it really well, and a long chase back for the fielder at mid-wicket. They come back for 3, and Kerrigan it was who chased after that all the way out to the boundary. Important 3 runs. 232 for 6 now. Partnership goes up to 23, and Williams plods into double figures. He's added 10 today in an hour and a quarter, but he's still there. He's on 12. But yeah, you know, that mood that surrounds any county club, I think, tends to be dictated by the game that's gone before, whatever format it was, and they were so close to winning that on Saturday. Taylor around the wicket, bowl to the left-handed Sundar. Again, good leave. He really has showed exemplary judgment this morning, the left-hander. And not just exemplary judgment, but exemplary restraint as well, because when you're given room and you're chasing a target like this, there's every inclination to go after it, I think. But he's left it really, really well, Sundar, so far, which explains to some extent why he's faced as many balls as he has, 41 for his 9. And waits again now. Taylor is in, bowl to him. This one is straighter, and he does have to play it. Slides off the outside edge, wide of gully, and although Sundar responded rather late to Williams' call, there was a comfortable single there, and he got in, and he keeps the strike, and it's the end of the over. 233 for 6. Good partnership developing. It's quite important. 24 now added for this 7th wicket, and you just feel tipping very much back towards the visitors again now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Frank. I think there will come a time, sooner rather than later maybe, where Will Young is going to have to possibly give Rob Keogh a little roll with his off spin. So yesterday certainly things started to happen when he came into the attack, and it's all very well bowling tidily, but Northamptonshire have got to take wickets. Simon Kerrigan looking to do just that. Starts another over from the indoor centre end. First ball of it is turned away by Washington Sundar to forward short leg, fielded there by Emilio Gay. Vasconcelos still at slip. Kerrigan in over the wicket, bowls to Sundar, works it up on the onside. Smartly fielded there by Will Young at mid-wicket. It's a backward point. Deep extra cover on the boundary. Mid-off up, mid-on back. Next ball is, it turned sharply. It hit Sundar on the pad. Maybe a little bit mixture of bat and pad, rolled down behind the stumps for McManus to collect. A little bit of an encouragement there for Kerrigan, as there was in the previous over. Next ball is turned, just gone past Kerrigan, who tried to tumble away to his left and stop it and cut off the single, but he couldn't. It was left to Proctor to do so, coming in from long on. One more onto the total, 234 for 6, Sundar to 11, 44 runs to win for Lancashire now. Kerrigan switches to round the wicket for the right-handed Williams, pushing forward down to backward point, fielded by Keogh. Northamptonshire needing a breakthrough. Having got rid of Bohannon, these two have done an excellent job for their side. Short of a length, punched away off the back foot by Williams, down to Keogh at backward point. Williams playing with increasing confidence, you feel. Done a terrific job. 234 for 6 at the end of the over. Williams is 12, Washington Sundar is 11. Just 44 more runs needed now by Lancashire to win. Northamptonshire need 4 wickets. Time here just gone 12:15. So, well, you suspect one way or the other, this isn't going to go much after lunch, if indeed it gets that far.
It's tricky for Will Young here, because if he's going to try Richard Keogh with that suggestion that he might get a bit of bounce, it has to be soon.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Because otherwise it'll be just too late. And if you brought him on near the end and he started to make things happen, you'd feel that you should have done it sooner. Taylor bowls straighter this time. Sundar has to play, drives up to mid-off.
And I must say, you know, about Rob Keogh, this year, and he bowled beautifully, obviously, down at Canterbury, a match-winning performance with Simon Kerrigan. This year, having just altered his approach a little bit, so he's more of a run in than a walk in, and getting a little bit more zip into his action.
Yeah.
He's actually, his control over, you look over the whole season, he's been pretty good. It's not the question that he's going to leak routinely 5, 6 and over. That hasn't been the case this year.
Taylor in, bowls, and drives nicely, but straight to the fielder at extra cover. Who is Keogh, isn't it? And he bowls.
It is.
Bowls a ball to Rickleton at mid-off, which turns on the outfield.
Well, it's just.
And is that a message, or is that part of a warm-up?
It's a sort of subliminal message. Well, there we go.
Here we go. There you go. I was in Will Young's head there.
Subliminal message to Will Young.
Had a couple of tweets which I'll mention. Stephen Brady says he's enjoying. He's a big Lancashire fan, and he says he's enjoying it. This is what county cricket's all about. Couldn't agree more. As Taylor bowls, Sundar pushes defensively to extra again. And on that note, really, what county cricket's all about, the Lancashire Action Group, who I've heard of, they're on Twitter. You can find them. They are worried about the rumoured reduction in games from 12 to 10 next year, and they want to draw attention to that and campaign against it. I'm fully in agreement with that. So Lancashire Action Group, you can find them on Twitter. Do have a look at what they've got to say. Taylor round the wicket, bowls. Sundar just a little bit turned round by this one. Not his usual lovely side-on position as he pushes that one out on the offside. I was with one or two people at this function last night who involved with the PCA, and I think we'll find out fairly soon what the proposals are for the structure next year.
Not sure if I'm looking forward to that or not, actually.
Nor am I. Nor am I. I don't think. Well, I mean, one of the points that's made is quite clearly that you will never please everybody, but I think those of us that appreciate county cricket in particular, Taylor outside the stump, left alone again by Sundar. County cricket in particular, and the red ball form of county cricket in particular, which is arguably, you know, for me, what the county game is all about, are the ones who are perhaps most, or feel most threatened, don't we, really, at the moment? And
yes, we've got no disagreement from this quarter.
And I've also got one here from Jeffrey Simon, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, about the YouTube stream. Here's Taylor round the wicket bowls, and that's a lovely shot from Sundar, but he only gets a run for it because there's a man out on the boundary at deep square leg. So Sundar will keep the strike. 235 for 6 at the end of the over. 43 more needed. Both Williams and Sundar are on 12. The one man out today, Bahanan, for 103. Jeffrey Simon says the YouTube live stream went a little out of focus. Now it's completely out of focus. The stream and score information are blurred from both ends. This happened to me yesterday, Jeffrey, when I was watching this game, and I think it's to do with your bandwidth and whether you've got a strong enough signal. So what I did was I just went through on my TV and made sure that all other apps were closed and that no other apps that might be using up bandwidth were doing so, and that definitely solved the problem. So
sounds a bit technical.
Well, for me,
crikey.
Yeah, for me it is. People should have been in this box for half an hour before we started this morning if they're worried about technical
All I can suggest is switching it off and switching it back on again. Here's Simon Kerrigan starting another over from this indoor centre end. Short of a length, worked into the onside by Washington Sundar. Single for him as it goes out to Keogh coming in from deep mid-wicket. Sends in his return to Lewis McManus. One more run. Sundar to 13, Lancashire to 236 for 6, 42 more runs required. Northamptonshire still need 4 wickets. And Kerrigan round the wicket to the right-handed. Williams plays it up past Emilio Gay at forward short leg, but only as far as Ryan Rickleton at mid-wicket, and there's no run. Slip and a forward short leg still. 3 saving, 1 on the offside. Kerrigan in bowls, and it's very cleverly played by Williams, just opening the face, running it down towards third man. Couple of runs for him here. A bit of a chase there for Rob Keogh. Running down towards the Spencer Pavilion. 2 to Williams. He goes to 14. Lancashire to 238 for 6, 40 to win. That's again a clever, intelligent bit of batting by Will Williams. Faces this next ball from Kerrigan, tossed up a little bit more, pushing forward, runs down to backward point, where Keogh fields and then again bowls the ball up to Will Young. Rob Keogh's warm-up routine has been commented on by a number of listeners and viewers. Next ball, Kerrigan to Williams, pushed out again on the offside for Williams to field. It was actually suggested by one of our regulars that we talk about it a lot because it's a thing of great beauty, and then but it's not often picked up on the live streams. It has been suggested that a video should be made of it and made available for public view. Here's Kerrigan in again, bowls just back of a length to Williams, who's on the back foot, plays it back down the pitch for Kerrigan to field. End of another over, 238 for 6. Williams is 14, Sundar is 13. These two put on a handy partnership of 29. Kerrigan, 15 overs, no wicket for 44. And it's Keogh time from the David Capel end.
Yeah, Rob Keogh. I like Rob Keogh. He's apart from the fact that he always does well against Worcestershire, which doesn't always please me. I remember him getting 100 at New Road a few years ago that won the game. But he's my kind of cricketer, really. And what I mean by that is, you know, I like the solid county pros who do it day in, day out, and perhaps aren't the star players, but they're just integral to their sides. And I think Rob Keogh's one of them. Had to be now, I think. It might almost be too late. What they need, they still need 40. So,
of course, the only other thing to mention, Frank, is that the second new ball is 4 overs away.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about that as well.
Which I must admit I hadn't even considered, really.
Yeah. Well, would you take it? I mean, if they bowl another 4 overs of spin now and nothing happens, then maybe you would take it and just have one last flirt with it, wouldn't you? But the trouble with new balls is that they go hard off the bat as well, don't they? Here's Keogh anyway. He's going to be bowling round the wicket to Sundar. Just one slip, the only close catcher. There's a man on the drive at short extra. Ooh, bounce straight away for Rob Keogh.
Wide.
Oh, well, that's a harsh one. That is a harsh call. Keogh just can't believe it. It bounced and left Sundar, but he's a tall man with a long reach. I can't see how that could be considered why Rob Keogh's distraught. But more importantly for me, that bounced and turned. He's in again now and he bowls. And he straightens his line up, turned away on the onside. You know, I'm going to stick my neck out here, Andrew. 40 runs required. Rob Keogh's come on. First ball's bounced and turned. I'd have another slip or a gully in there now, I think. It's go for broke.
Got to take 4 wickets.
Yeah.
What a bizarre
If
decision.
one pops and he doesn't... Yeah, it was. That's where he wants to bowl it. Just outside off stump, pushed out on the offside. No, it was an extraordinary decision, I think. And they're still discussing it now. Keogh's still discussing it with the umpire. I say discussing. That might be a polite way of describing what's going on out there. This one's a little bit shorter. Sundar is pushing out on the leg side, taken on the pad, I think it ran out. No, it got a bit of bat on it, and they almost got an overthrow, which would have been very silly as McManus threw the ball to the non-striker's end. Had both batsmen been tuned in, I think they would have got 2. But Williams, I beg your pardon, was the one who'd seen the opportunity. Sundar had just settled for the single. Anyway, they got 1, 240 for 6. Sundar goes to 14, where he joins Williams. And one more ball, and I'm going to dash off for an update. This one turned on the onside, no run.
Yeah, Rob Keogh picked up 1 for 38 so far in this innings. The wicket of first night watchman, Matt Parkinson, just chipped one up to mid-wicket last night. Keogh in again, flighted well up to Williams, turns it too young at mid-wicket and there's no run. 240 for 6, 38 more runs required by Lancashire. There's Keogh in again, bowls very full. Just worked on the onside by Williams to Emilio Gay under the helmet at forward short leg, and that's the end of Rob Keogh's first over of the day. 240 for 6 at the end of the over. 14 to Williams, 14 to Sundar. Partnership worth 31. Coming together at the fall of Josh Bohannon's wicket with a total 209. Taking it on to 240. Yes, Rob Keogh clearly, visibly distraught, as Frank said, perplexed by that call of wide. Here's Simon Kerrigan starting another over the wicket, driven by Sundar, through extra cover for 4. Beautiful stroke. It was up there for the shot. Sundar latching onto it, threading it away through the offside field for 4. Lovely shot by the Indian international. He goes up to 18 and the total to 244 for 6. And Lancashire 34 runs away from victory. And let's not underestimate just how good a win this will be for Lancashire. They're set to score the highest total of the match to win, which is never easy. They're now just 34 runs away from reaching their target. Here's Kerrigan Over the wicket again, bowls to Sundar, short of a length, turned on the bounce, just wide of forward short leg. It's also called a no ball. Yet another one in the innings, so 3 onto the total, 2 for the no ball, 1 for the single. 247 for 6. Lancashire need just another 31 to win. Kerrigan coming in round the wicket to bowl to Williams, who stretches forward, plays it off an angled bat down to backward point, fielded by Rob Keogh. And there's no run. Change in the field, forward short leg. Emilio Gay going across to a second slip. As Kerrigan is in, bowls to Williams short, punched away off the back foot. Out to Jack White, coming in from the extra cover boundary. And they pick up another single. Looks a little bit easy for Lancashire at the moment. 248 for 6. Williams up to 15. Not helped, as we say, by that tally of no balls, which is inching up. Kerrigan joins Ben Sanderson, having bowled 3 in the innings. Back over the wicket to the left-handed Sundar, short of a length, turned away behind square for an easy single down there to Rob Keogh. And that brings up the 250. 250 rather for 6. 28 more runs needed. Kerrigan in bowls short, tries to cut Will Williams, doesn't make contact, goes through to Lewis McManus. Time running out for Northamptonshire here. Now, there's going to be another change in the field. Ryan Rickleton coming in from mid-wicket, and he's going into the second slip position. And Emilio Gay coming out of it and going back to his previous position at forward short leg. Kerrigan comes in again, flights that one up, stretches right forward. Smeller, sir, as the old coaches used to say. Runs down to backward point. Keogh fields end of the over. 29 more runs needed by Lancashire. Washington Sundar is on 20. Williams is on 15. And Lancashire inside 30 runs now, the requirement. As far as the overs go, 2 more before that second new ball would be available. Although, as Frank says, whether they would consider using it, I think probably everything depends on what happens in the next 2 overs. And I think I agree with you entirely. I think if Northamptonshire haven't taken a wicket,
you might as well take it.
They might as well take it.
Yeah, I would agree. And just hope that somebody can do something startling, might get a hat-trick.
Well, a little spell like Jack White did in the first innings, exactly. 4 for 10 in 7 overs. That'd do.
That would do nicely. Rob Keogh to continue from the Capel end, round the wicket, taking quite a bit of care setting this field. I think you're absolutely right, Andrew. Next few minutes, we'll know one way or the other. Keogh bowls down the leg side. And it would have been a wide in one-day cricket. McManus skipped across, didn't even get a glove on it, got a pad on it, but Vasconcelos at slip read it and stopped the possibility of a bye. Keogh again bowls. Sundar clips this one firmly on the leg side, and it hits rather than is stopped by Emilio Gay at short leg in front of square with those big pads on, and he needed them. Keogh once more is in, he bowls, and that's better from Keogh. Good line and length. Sundar has to be very careful. Plays forward and just lets the ball hit the bat. Doesn't push at it too hard. Doesn't want to give a bat pad chance to short leg. Keogh is in again, and bowls, and Sundar drives. Bowler does his own fielding, tumbling to his right. But yeah, good partnership by these two. And, you know, hats off to Williams. 15. He's only added 13 all day today, but he's been absolutely rock solid. Keogh bowls, throws this one up a little bit wider outside off stump.
So 79 balls now.
Yeah, left alone by Sundar. But he's hardly played a full shot.
No.
Just absolutely.
Coupled Kerrigan, wasn't there, in about 2 overs ago.
Keogh again bowls. Sundar cuts for 4 vital runs, width from Keogh and over pitched, and kind of slapped really, sort of a late-ish cut behind square on the offside. Good shot from Washington. Sundar, and well, ever closer Lancashire creeping towards this target of 278. Sundar has gone to 20. As I say, Williams been there all day. He's on 15, and just 25 runs required now. 253 for 6, and well, I think your prediction of a lunchtime finish is going to be spot on.
Yeah, I think so. Well, so one way or the other. Might still get interesting if Northamptonshire could nip out too quickly, but at the moment, as I say, it's just starting to look a little bit comfortable for Lancashire. 25 more runs needed. Simon Kerrigan starting his 17th over, bowled short, and Williams again tries to cut. Doesn't get a touch at all, and Vasconcelos at slip. Just looking again with a sort of mixture of incredulity and frustration, as Williams this time is very solidly forward, pushing it out into the offside. Just hasn't really happened for Northamptonshire this morning, so apart from that wicket of Josh Bohannon. Kerrigan in again, bowls to Williams, who props forward, runs off an inside edge down into the onside, down to Emilio Gay at forward short leg. And there's no run, still a slip and a forward short leg, the close catchers. Kerrigan in again, bowls to Williams, pushes out into the offside. Will Young coming in from extra cover to field, change in the field now, just trying to put a little bit more pressure on Williams, moving in Ryan Rickleton across from mid-wicket to second slip, moving Ben Sanderson in from the boundary to backward square. In the one saving position, Kerrigan in bowls back of a length, Williams standing tall, punching it back down the pitch. Kerrigan fields. And there's no run. It's a bit quiet out there now as far as bubble from the field is concerned. Kerrigan in again, bowls Williams defensively forward, back down the pitch. Fielded off his own bowling, tidy enough over from Simon Kerrigan. But 25 more runs needed for Lancashire, 253 for 6. They have 4 wickets in hand. Williams is 15, Washington Sundar on 24. I just wonder what you think, Frank, just thinking about what Chris Liddell, Northamptonshire's bowling coach, was saying last night. New ball has been taken, so that answers that question. He was saying that he said we need to be at our best.
Yeah.
For the first hour.
Yeah. And they haven't been.
I'm not sure they have been, and I'm just interested to get your view, coming to it with fresh eyes.
Yeah, White's bowled well today, I think.
Yep.
Ben Sanderson, who's about to take the new ball from the Capel end, was lacking a bit of rhythm, I thought, this morning. The tone perhaps set in that first over. He started with a no ball.
Yeah.
That didn't really start well. Bowled some good deliveries, but I just didn't get the sense that he was in sync, in rhythm, just comfortably repeating his action every ball. It was all a bit strained, a bit forced, I felt, whereas White was more rhythmical and more consistent, shall we say. Here comes Sanderson with that new ball, and he bowls, and forward comes Sundar and pushes out on the offside. And Kerrigan, yeah, I just hasn't been able to find that rough and get enough balls to respond, really. And Keogh, I don't know, really. I think maybe he was upset.
I think
that
it was.
First ball,
Do you know, I was just going to say, I think that bowled one that turned bounce and was called a wide. And
he was clearly upset, and he just didn't settle, did he?
No.
It's just not gone their way. But Sanderson again bowls and pushed out on the onside by Sundar, no run. But to go back to your initial suggestion that we need to be at our best, or the coach's suggestion we need to be at our best, they haven't been.
No, I don't.
As a unit.
No, I think that's a fair assessment. I'd say
it's easy. I mean, that's not a critic. You know, it's easy to say we need to be at our best. It's not necessarily easy to be at your best. It doesn't always happen.
Not robots,
however hard you try. Yeah. Sanderson in, bowls. Sundar is forward, pushes out on the offside, and there's no. And something that I've found myself saying quite a bit in regard to Worcestershire games, when you're picking the bones out of a defeat or a disappointment, is, other teams are allowed to play well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Josh Bohannon has, if you like, played the match-defining innings
Yep.
here. And these two have played really well since he was out. And you've got to accept that sometimes. Sanderson again is in and bowls, and that's just a lovely cricket shot from Washington Sundar, and it'll bring him 4 runs. Just clipped off his hip, and warmly applauded by his teammates on the pavilion balcony, because I think you just sense that a shot like that, the ease with which he played it, suggests that it's almost done.
He does.
And the new ball goes hard off the bat.
He just generally, just watching him this morning, and indeed in the first innings as well, although he wasn't out there for very long, but he just seems to have a lot of time, doesn't he? He really does.
Like all the best players. He's also been unflappable, I think. Well, these two really have, haven't they? Just conducted themselves superbly. 257 for 6. Sanderson is in and then beats him with a good one. But that's what we need more of from Ben Sanderson. Just responds to being hit for 4 with a little bit more nip and a little bit more effort, and beats the bat, properly beats the bat. At that time he played at it, and that's what's not quite been there for Northants this morning. 21 needed now by Lancashire. When Bohannon was out, 209 for 6. You thought there was a real sniff for Northants, but it hasn't come about. Sanderson in again, bowls, and 4 more here for Washington. Sundar overpitched on leg stump, and perhaps it was a gamble to take the new ball. It's not going to pay off. End of the over. Sundar has moved on to 32 now. This partnership is now worth 52, and Lancashire, as I say, almost home. They're entering the last furlong, aren't they? Williams, solid as ever, still there on 15.
Yeah, well played to both of them, putting together that unbroken 50 partnership. I've no problem with them taking the new ball. I think they probably had to. There's no point just locking yourself into a routine where they can just milk the spinners, pick them off. No. 2 or 3 runs and over, they're going to win anyway. They've got to take 4 wickets just to try something different. Now this is interesting, because I'd sort of assumed that probably Jack White would take the new ball. He's certainly been limbering up, but Simon Kerrigan is going to bowl with the new ball. Now some spinners hate bowling with the new ball. Others quite like it because it gives them a bit more bounce. Let's see what happens with Kerrigan taking it round the wicket. Bowls to Williams, who's again in behind it, playing it up to Emilio Gay at forward short leg, and there's no run.
Well, it's a ploy, isn't it? It's a gamble.
Kerrigan flights that next ball up, pushed forward by Williams, runs down to Keogh at backward point, and there's no run.
My temptation would have been, if I wanted to use Kerrigan, was to let Kerrigan share it with White, who's been more consistent today. That's
a good point. Kerrigan, that's just a little bit quicker, a little bit shorter, and Williams, with plenty of time to go onto the back foot, plays it back down the pitch for Kerrigan to field. Once again, this familiar change in the field about 3 balls in, with Rickleton coming into second slip. Now mid-wicket in the ring. Ben Sanderson, next ball is played down just to the right hand of Emilio Gay at forward short leg, no run. 261 for 6, 17 to win. Kerrigan in bowls to Williams, pushes out into the covers for Keogh to field, and there's no run. Kerrigan already back at his mark. Trots in, bowls down the leg side. Good take by McManus as Williams is looking to whip that away through square leg. Doesn't make contact. End of another Kerrigan over. 18 overs, 2 maidens. No wicket for 53 for the left armour. 261 for 6. Washington Sundar 32. Will Williams is on 15, and Lancashire need another 17 runs to win.
Gets through his overs very, very quickly, Kerrigan. We've got a young left-arm spinner at Worcester called Josh Baker that I sometimes time him just for fun, and I think 1 minute 40 is his quickest over.
We put the watch on Kerrigan
Yeah.
last year, and he bowled a sub-minute over
Yeah.
against Yorkshire.
Which is mad. Sanderson bowls, and Sundar has taken on the pad. Ball runs out on the leg side. There's an appeal. They go through for a single. It's a leg by signal by the umpire. 262 for 6. But I have raised the suggestion, watching Josh Baker bowling like that at Worcester, that it isn't 261 for 6. Sorry, the scoreboard had already put it on. It isn't always a good thing. When you're on top, it's a good thing, and you're keeping pressure on. But in a situation like this, maybe it would be better just to take your time, take the pace out of it a little bit, make them think a little bit more. Sanderson bowls, and forward comes Williams, pushing out on the offside. It's a habit, I think, for bowlers like Kerrigan to just walk back, get the ball, go through, play back at the pitch, get the ball, go through. But it isn't always a benefit necessarily, I think. I'm not saying they should take 5 minutes, but
No.
just sometimes just compose yourself a little bit more, let the batsman have a little worry. Sanderson bowls. And Williams, talking of composure, has been composure personified today, and he gets on the back foot and plays this one back to the bowler. Very impressive from Williams in a kind of understated sort of way.
No, he's been terrific. 93 balls faced now for Will Williams, after coming in as the second night watchman last night.
And still there. Sanderson from the Capel end bowls, and we thought he'd nicked that one. First really, really full shot he's played. He kind of pushed at it with no feet really, and it went away a bit off the seam and was taken by McManus, but just had the hallmarks of a caught behind written all over it, that one, but he gets away with it. 262 for 6. Sanderson again is in. He bowls, and that one maybe just kept a tad low.
Did keep a little bit low.
Williams on the back foot was equal to it, pushed it out on the onside. New balls just come 30 runs too late, isn't it, for North?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, if they'd have still needed 50 when the new ball was taken, then I think it might have been a bit different. And also, overhead conditions are sunny now. It's not really going to do that much in the air. That one's wide from Sanderson and left alone by Williams, taken by McManus. End of the over. 262 for 6. Lancashire needs 16 runs to win, and I'm anticipating a finish just on the stroke of our next
Yes,
updates,
I think
which will be absolutely perfect.
Yes, it'll come at the time probably we least want it to happen, but that's always the way of things. Now the experiment of Kerrigan with a new ball is not being persisted with, because Jack White is coming into the attack from this indoor centre end, as Frank was describing, bowled beautifully this morning. I say he was not quite at his best yesterday, having bowled a terrific spell in the first innings, finishing with career best figures of 5 for 14, 4 for 10 in 7 overs. Northamptonshire needs something similar to that here. 2 slips and a gully. White bowling round the wicket to the left-handed Washington Sundar. Very full, driven up to Taylor at mid-off, and there's no run. Vasconcelos at first slip, Will Young at second, Emilio Gay in the gully. Got a man sweeping back on the point boundary in front of the small scoreboard here next to the signal box. Extra cover, fairly tight in, looking to save one, then mid-off, mid-on. Mid-wicket, about 2/3 of the way back to the boundary, and a long leg on the fence. White, rangy stride, comes in, bowls outside the off stump, left alone by Washington Sundar. Goes through to Lewis McManus, who's just joining us, just the 1 wicket to fall this morning. Josh Bohannon, who was caught by Will Young in the gully off Jack White for 103. Shortly after completing his century with a slightly uppish boundary away through mid-wicket, but a terrific knock from Bohannon. White in again, bowls to Sundar, plays it up to Keogh at mid-wicket, and there's no run.
Jeffrey Simon's got his picture back, I'm pleased to say.
Oh, good.
And he's an English teacher. So am I, Jeffrey. So there you are.
Oh, well.
I'll try and speak proper.
Yeah, Bohannon's 103 coming off 168 balls with a 6 and 18 fours and very likely to prove the decisive innings in this match. White in again, bowls to Sundar, who needs to treat that ball with respect. Angling in towards off stump and does so. Plays it very solidly out into the covers for Keogh to field. Keeping half an eye, of course, on what's happening elsewhere. Gloucestershire showing a bit of resistance now down at Cheltenham. 291 for 5 following on, so 35 ahead now. 5 wickets down, that's against Hampshire. White in again, bowls to Sundar, pushes it out into the covers. Once again, Rob Keogh fields. The others will be saying, please, can somebody else play? Because there's only 3 involved at the moment. No play before lunch at Taunton, where it's still raining. Somerset 225 for 6 in their second innings against Yorkshire. We have a result at the Oval. Surrey have beaten Essex by 6 wickets. 162 for 4, so another win for the leaders. Take a bit of stopping, I suspect, now. Here's White in again, bowls to Washington Sundar. Just waits on that one, plays it calmly out to mid-wicket, who is deep. So there's a comfortable mutual consent single to be had. Keeps the bowling as well. Sundar up to 33. Williams is 15, 263 for 6 at the end of the over. 15 more runs required. And at Edgbaston, Kent on the brink of winning, beaten by Northamptonshire last time out. Looked like bouncing back with a bang. Warwickshire set 325 to win, or 130 for 9.
Wow.
So they've fallen in a bit of a heap this morning.
They have.
It looks as though that's going to be a Kent win.
Sanderson round the wicket, bowls to Sundar, left alone outside the off stump. Bounces over the top of the stumps, I think, almost, or just outside off. Bit of carry through to McManus, but Sundar and Williams continuing to show excellent judgment so far in this partnership.
Wicket shared around at Edgbaston. Matt Milnes has taken 3. Navdeep Saini a couple. 2 for Matt Quinn, 1 apiece for Leaning and Henry.
Here's Sanderson again, bowls, and this one is driven out on the offside by Washington Sundar for a single. Goes to 34, 264 for 6. Did you see the last ball of the Kent innings in that game? Have you seen what happened?
No, I didn't. No.
Before they declared, it was. I saw a little snatch on YouTube. It was absolutely fantastic. What happened? I'll just break off as Sanderson beats Williams outside the off stump. Matt Quinn came in at the fall of the 9th wicket, and they'd obviously decided they were going to declare at the end of that over, but they decided they were going to finish the over. So he came in, smashed Danny Briggs for 6 and walked off. It was just priceless.
The definition of a cameo,
yeah,
I think, that, isn't it?
Just brilliant. Just walked out to the middle, went whack and walked off again. Edged by Williams for 4 down to 3rd man. There we go. The story of the new ball being harder and flying off the bat didn't carry to Will Young at second slip. He dived to his right, bounced in front of him, and then shot along the ground all the way down to 3rd man for 4. He stays on his knees, the Northampton captain, no doubt pondering the fact that his first game in charge is now going to end in defeat, as Lancashire just require another 10 runs. 4 slips in place now. Williams has gone to 19, and he pushes out on the offside. There's no run. He only averages 13 in first-class cricket, Williams. Has never got a first-class 50. He's looked far better.
He has. He looked very... Just looks well organised, doesn't he? Worked out his game. Our friend and colleague Scott Reed, who's been here for the previous 2 days, up at Old Trafford today for the ODI against England-South Africa. But it is still raining there, I think, so the start has been delayed.
Big day for Scott. Ben Sanderson bowls, and Williams turns this on the leg side for a single, fielded by Rob Keogh at mid-wicket. And Williams goes on to 20, keeps the strike, 269 for 6. And just 9 more needed now, it won't be long.
In Division 2, they are due to get underway fairly soon at Trent Bridge, where Derbyshire following on 79 for no wicket in their second innings, still 221 behind. They had some rain up there this morning, but they are about to get started. Sussex have had a little bit of a wobble down at Lords. So they're 69 for 4 in their second innings, so just 107 ahead. What looked a nailed-on draw, maybe not quite as nailed-on as we thought. Here's White starting another over from the indoor centre end, and Will Williams plays it up to Rickleton at mid-wicket, and there's no run. And at Grace Road, replying to Leicestershire's 584 all out, Glamorgan now 237 for 2, with hundreds for both Sam North East and Colin Ingram, both not out and past 100. Here's White, 3 slips in place now, bowls to Williams outside the off stump. Williams, for a moment I thought he might play at that. In the end, thought better of it, pulled the bat out of the road and allows it through to Lewis McManus. Rob Keogh having a chat with the umpire about something or other. Timing of the lunch break, perhaps. 5 minutes to 1 here. As White comes in and bowls, and that's steered off an outside edge past the third slip for 4. To be fair, I say it was an edge. I think it was actually a deliberate stroke. He kept it down, soft hands. There's not a gully in there. There's not a third man either. And it goes down to the boundary for 4. And Lancashire now very, very close. Williams up to 24. And Lancashire 273 for 6. So they need just 5 more runs to win. Northamptonshire need a miracle. Here's White in bowls and very full. Williams digs it out. White fields off his own bowling. And there's no run. There'll be a big cheer, I'm quite sure, and rightly so, from the Lancashire balcony when or if these runs are scored. They've had to work very, very hard indeed for this win. Here's White in again, bowls to Williams, pushes it out into the covers. Single there, fielded by Keogh. 1 more onto the total. 274 for 6, 4 to win. Takes Will Williams up to 25. And as you say, Frank, I think it's just going to land on both of us updating our respective stations.
Hopefully just a second or two before.
Here's White round the wicket, bowls to Sundar, turns it up to Keogh at mid-wicket, and there's no run, end of the over. So it's prolonged a little longer. 274 for 6, Williams 25, Sundar 34, the partnership 65, and that needs to be stressed again, how well these two have done, coming together at 209 for 6. Bahanan out and the match certainly in the balance at that point. And these have just taken the match away from Northamptonshire. Ben Sanderson is off. Simon Kerrigan is back into the attack from the David Capel end. 4 to win.
Slipping a short leg in place. Comes in, bowls, and Williams drives. A very full ball, but squeezes it into the ground, and it runs back up the pitch to the bowler. 5 needed then. 4 needed, I should say. And there it is. Williams cuts Kerrigan down to third man. A bit of a thick edge, really, but 4 runs brought to Williams, who has been there throughout the morning, held things together in excellent fashion. Superb support from Washington Sundar. Sundar finishes on 34, Williams finishes on 29, and Lancashire, who only lost 1 wicket today, are the winners by 4 wickets. It's been an excellent game of cricket, and won really by a team that perhaps had the edge, just in the sense that Josh Bahanan made a really crucial 100. No other player in either side getting anywhere near that many runs. I didn't see all of the game. I saw most of it. Didn't see all of it in person, but it was a gripping game of cricket, well contested, and it ended with Lancashire keeping their nerve, really, when things got tense this morning, when Josh Bahanan was out. 209 for 6 at that point, but an unbroken partnership for the 7th wicket of 69 runs. taking Lancashire to victory by 4 wickets.
Yeah, it's hard to understate the importance of this partnership, and no praise is too high really for these two unbeaten Lancashire batsmen who are now walking off the pitch, and we'll have the usual handshakes, which is always good to see. But these two really have done a cracking job for their side. An unbroken partnership of 69 for the 7th wicket. Frank was saying earlier, sometimes from Northamptonshire's point of view, you need to say the opposition are allowed to play well. They play very well this morning. I don't think Northamptonshire, as a unit, quite at their best this morning. Jack White was very good, but in the end, we were saying first thing, well, if you get Josh Bohannon out early, you never know. Well, they did get Josh Bohannon out early, but in the end, Washington Sundar and Will Williams stepped up to the plate, and they've seen Lancashire through to victory by 4 wickets at just before 1 o'clock on the 4th day. Run through the bowling figures for those who like to keep the stats up to date. Sanderson, 24 overs, 7 maidens, 3 for 76. White, 20 overs, 5 maidens, 1 for 58. Kerrigan, 18 overs and 2 balls, 2 maidens, no wicket for 57. Keogh, 12 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 42. And Tom Taylor, 12 overs, 1 maidens, 1 for 32. There were 31 extras, which is something that will probably give Northamptonshire's coaching staff just pause for thought, including 16 runs leaked in no balls, 8 no balls bowled in all, 3 of them each by Ben Sanderson and Simon Kerrigan. I'm just going to be updating BBC Radio Northampton listeners for their 1 o'clock news just before we round up and sign off. But I'm sure Lancashire listeners highly delighted by that victory, and as I say, it was one that was achieved with some good smart cricket yesterday and today. Northamptonshire would have felt they had a pretty good chance when they were able to leave Lancashire the highest total of the match to win, 278 to win. And they started their innings about 25 minutes to 4 yesterday afternoon. Even more so when they nicked the openers at 48 for 2. But that partnership of Bohannon and Croft, 117 yesterday for the 3rd wicket in the end, proving absolutely vital. And then although Northamptonshire clawed their way back into the game last night by picking up 3 wickets just before the close, including night watchman Matt Parkinson, in the end, Bohannon and then the excellence today of Washington Sundar and Will Williams have managed to take Lancashire over the line. And what a game Will Williams has had. Couple of wickets in the first innings, 2 for 27, 5 for 41 in the second innings, and an unbeaten 29 to see Lancashire home here. So, terrific game for the New Zealander. There's a steward out there to make sure that nobody invades the square, which I don't think is very likely, because I'm not even sure there are any spectators left in the ground. And Northamptonshire have lost here. Lancashire getting to their target at 278 for 6 to win by 4 wickets. Northamptonshire saying if they could get rid of Josh Bohannon this morning, they thought they had a chance. Well, they did get rid of Bohannon early on. Very good catch by Will Young off the bowling of Jack White. Bohannon out for 103, but a lot of the damage already done by that stage. It was 209 for 6, game still in the balance, but an unbroken partnership of 69 for the 7th wicket between Washington Sundar, who finished 34 not out, and Will Williams, 29 not out, has seen Lancashire home. So the visitors winning by 4 wickets. Northamptonshire need to regroup as they go down to Cheltenham to play Gloucestershire next week. So that's about all from here at Wantage Road, where we congratulate Lancashire on their victory by 4 wickets. Northamptonshire, as we say, will have to regroup next time out, and rest assured you'll be able to hear every ball of that match, indeed every ball of every county match this season, live on the BBC, through the online, on the website and on the app, and of course through the live stream as well. For now, from me, Andrew Radd, from my colleague Frank Watson, from obviously Scott and Joe and Josh Cobb, who were with us yesterday, thank you very much indeed for your company. Hope you've enjoyed the commentary, and you'll be back with us next time. From all of us here at Wantage Road, a very good afternoon.